Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Hope you all are fine and staying at home. My prayers are always with you. You know, we were taking classes online through different platforms, but because of your apprehensions and because of some media reports regarding those platforms, uh, I have tried to create a YouTube channel for you people so that we can have a communication and a medium whereby we can undertake the rest of the syllabus and then have the interaction and discussion regarding those online lectures which I am going to give through this platform. First, I would request you all to subscribe the channel because I am compiling the different kinds of these topics and then preparing the PowerPoint presentations in this platform, and in future you will be getting the notification and intimation of the incoming lectures and presentations through this platform. Last time we were discussing the evaluation of reference and information sources. So I thought that let us have some recap of that which has been already studied, and then uh, try to find the different perspectives of the topic evaluation of reference and information sources. I have in my mind that after completing this presentation, you as the students of BLIC will be able to understand the concept of the reference book or reference source in general. You will be in a position to understand the criteria of evaluation of reference and information sources, and I hope that you students, because you all are able students and you have the capabilities and caliber of understanding the things in different dimensions, you will be able to understand and evaluate some of the important and prominent reference sources which are available in the seminar library as well as in the Maulana library. So here we go. First, my dear students, that reference books are basically different kinds of these books or sources, and they differ from the normal textbooks, normal books which we are mostly using and reading. How it differs from the normal textbooks? It is because the textbook is basically read to understand the comprehension of a particular area of knowledge, while as in case of the reference books, as you can see from the slide, that these are basically meant for consultation, they are meant for references, they are meant for some ready information so that you can get it from there, and then the job is over, then there is no need to read the reference book. So that is why these are different books that you have to keep in mind while you are discussing the evaluation or any criteria for their assessment to check the quality. The different kinds of these characteristics before going to start the evaluation of the reference and information sources. The characteristics which differentiate the reference books or reference sources from the normal textbooks or other documents is first, as I have initiated, that these are meant for consultation only. They are meant for continuous, they are not meant for continuous reading, as you all are aware that textbooks are basically meant for the continuous reading, while as these are simply not meant for the continuous reading. A dictionary can't be read continuously as a textbook. An encyclopedia, a biographical source, an educational source, a current source are not the sources which are to be read continuously. Those reference books are basically having disjoint entries with varying length. Disjoint entries means, say for example, if we take the case of a dictionary. In the dictionary, dear students, there are the glossary or the groups of different kinds of these words which they are discussed in terms of their definition, in terms of the meaning, in terms of the usage, grammatical usage, and other related different kinds of these aspects of language. They one word and its entry is followed by a different word from a different area of knowledge. The two words which are consecutive based on the alphabetical order of a dictionary, they are disjoint with each other. They don't have any kind of similarity. One word can be from any area of knowledge, while as other word can be from a different area of knowledge. That is, in that sense, we talk of the disjoint entries. It is a similar case with the encyclopedias. It is a similar case with the biographical sources. It is a similar case with the educational sources and rest of the different categories of the sources. And then, so far as the library point of view is concerned, they are not lent for issuing. They are simply meant for consultation. At some times, when the users are in need of, they are highly organized sources of knowledge. Dear students, normally every book is having its own arrangement so far as the accessibility of the content is concerned. But because these are comprehensive sources, these are consisting of different volumes of information, they cover much more area as compared to the textbook, so they have to be highly organized. Like that is in the sense we talk of the arrangement of these documents, because they are arranged in a very sophisticated manner so that the document is having multiple access points and it is easily available to the users where to get which type of information. Because of this slide, the intention was that to know that the evaluation of the reference books in libraries is because of the different nature of these reference books. That is, in that context, when we talk of the textbooks, they are the process of recommendation. You might be knowing based on the collection development policies. Recommendation from the users, recommendation from the faculty members, recommendation from the specialists or experts, and then all these recommendations are put in the library committee, library authority for taking the final call of these purchase of the documents. So that is why reference sources are to be evaluated separately by different separate parameters. First, before going to discuss the evaluation, we have to understand it is basically a process of judging the quality of anything. So whenever we talk of the judgment, it has to be based on some parameters, it has to be based on some characteristics, it has to be based on some factors. Then and only then we can take a call of the quality of a particular source, particular item. You know, the evaluation process is abstract in nature because it discusses different processes, different phenomena, different ways of assessment in different fields. Some talk of the criteria, some talk of analysis, some talk of performance. In the similar way, you will see the some are more focused related to the impact, or some analysis, cost evaluation. Different these connotations can be inferred. But so far as the library evaluation of reference sources is concerned, it is basically to judge the quality of reference sources which has to be purchased in a particular library. The parameters that are shown here, it is not the first and the foremost parameter that is given by Lois shows, but other parameters, other methods of evaluation are already there in the textbooks. But these are much more feasible. These are much more, being evaluated by maximum of the libraries. They are the easiest parameters which are readily available in different reference sources. That is why the Lois shows parameters of evaluation, they have been much more famous and much more discussed in evaluation of the reference sources. So there are 6 parameters whereby we evaluate any reference or information source. authority, scope, treatment, arrangement, format, and special features. Sometimes as a thumb rule or as a mnemonic, value of this six parameters, we talk it as an STEPS formula, so that we can remember it, these six parameters. So let us discuss these parameters one by one, so that you can be in a position to understand the different these parameters, and where we have to assess which kind of parameter. First, dear students, whenever we talk of any source, it is the first presumption that we have to undertake, it is authority. We have to understand the authority, we have to know the authority. In authority of the reference and information sources, we talk of two different aspects. One, the background of the creators, the background of the agencies which are primarily responsible for the creation of the document, and then if they are all time the authors, editors, joint authors, publishers, if they are not organizations, then we talk of their qualification, we talk of their experience, and definitely so far as publishers are an organization as such, as an authority is concerned, we talk of the reputation as well. In case of the authors or authorship, you have to understand that an author, an editor, or a joint author is known by his or her academic work or the research work. Those who are having much qualification, they have much experience, and they are producing the quality research, it is but natural that their documents, the reference books, will be definitely an authoritative one. They will be credible, they will be reliable as compared to the others. In case of the qualification, you all know that higher the qualification, chances are that the higher quality may be maintained in the source. Definitely experience is much more valuable. Much experienced people and the authors may produce good quality reference sources. So in authority, in nutshell, you have to understand who are the creators, who has created the source, and then what are their experiences, what are their qualifications, is the reputation of a publisher. That is very important. After the credibility of the author, the second most important thing in case of publishing the research content is the publisher, because publishers are very important. A good publisher is always favorable. People are trying their best to publish their research, to publish their books through those by the help of those publishers, because it is the reputation, it is the market that they have created the spaces for themselves by maintaining the quality and standards of publishing. Dear students, the second parameter is the scope, that in which we discuss four different aspects. Like the first one is the purpose of the document, the coverage of the document, updateness, and the bibliographies. In case of the purpose, as we have already discussed it, that in purpose we talk of the contents, we talk of the preface, and from the contents and the preface, what we are inferring, we are getting the motive behind the publication of the document. We are getting an idea what intention is behind the publication of the book, so that the real essence of the document is to be determined. So the preface, content page, the book jacket, or any kind of notes which are available in the document, so that we can get the purpose of the document. That is very important, because purpose, the intention of a particular author is different for a different document. So what is the real purpose of a particular document, that has to be assessed. Then second is the coverage. This is basically the coverage of the contents. Coverage of the content means if your document is in a particular field, is the document covering or including all the different facets of that particular area or not? if the document is covering all the resources or not, if the document is including the important aspects of that particular area of knowledge or not, that has to be ascertained by the librarian, by the library staff. So in case of the coverage, it is related to the inclusion and exclusion of different ideas, different areas, different topics which are in the domain of that particular knowledge. If a book is, say for example, written in the field of library cataloging, so in the content page you will get to know how many different topics has been covered by the document. So it was in that context you will find that cataloging, maybe 10%, 20% of the contents which are related to the cataloging has been covered, but rest of the 80 or 90% has not been covered. It is in that context we talk of the coverage of different documents. Then updateness. Dear students, updateness is again very important so far as the scope determination is concerned, because the editions, the old editions, they have to be updated continuously. The content has to be put by the new knowledge, by the new ideas, by the new research. It becomes the document or the information becomes much richer when you incorporate the new ideas with the earlier one. And every author is trying the best of his abilities or her abilities to create the document in best possible manner. But when the books or the documents or the research is being published or produced, then definitely they are getting feedbacks. There is every time there is a scope of modification, increasing or decreasing the content. There is a critical evaluation by the readers. Then those feedbacks, suggestions, comments has to be incorporated along with the new knowledge that has been generated during the course of the time. Then bibliography, it is there that if the bibliography is updated or not, if it is available or not, it is again in the scope for review. Then the treatment, where my own experience is that maximum students are failing in identifying the treatment of a document. Dear students, treatment is how thorough or reliable is the content. Thoroughness means, for example, if a document is in the field of knowledge management, then in knowledge management we talk of tacit knowledge or implicit or explicit knowledge. In case of during the discussion of these tacit or implicit knowledge, you can identify by your own that has the author covered all the different facets of this implicit or explicit knowledge or not? Has the author justified the discussion that the contents in the field of knowledge management or not? So that is in that context we have to determine the treatment. Along with the thoroughness, reliability or completeness of the source, it is in the same treatment we talk of the language, we talk of style, presentation of the ideas, standardization or the use of different standards for the production of the document. Language is magical, dear students. There are different styles. People used to write the language in different ways. The way they have understood the language, they are able to communicate. And then the style of writing, it is completely different by different authors. We themselves are understanding it because you all students are writing and you are listening the same lectures, but once it is the examination time, you write in your own language and style. So it has to be determined that which way the authors have tried to communicate their ideas. Some documents, if you know the laws of library science, reference sources, reference service of Dr. S. R. Ranganathan, volume motto library classification, where the Dr. S. R. Ranganathan has written those documents very nicely, but every time I am getting the feedback from the students that the language is very difficult. The language is because Ranganathan was very knowledgeable in case of the language. He used to write articles in the journal, newspapers. So his language is very rich. Definitely students are facing the problem. In the similar manner, sometimes the authors are writing their research in simpler language, and this has to be taken into account when we talk of the treatment. Biased views of authors, if there is any case of biasness in the document, it has to be identified, because when we talk of these reference sources and services, it is very important to know the biasness of the ideas, because their students, Encyclopedia Britannica and Encyclopedia Americana. Britannica became much more famous as compared to the Americana, because in Americana it is being said it is much more, bent towards the US history and geography. In a similar manner, there are some sources which are religious sources. There the biasness of the religion has been identified. In case of Dewey Decimal Scheme of Classification, the earlier editions were much more biased to a particular religion. These are the sometimes these biasness comes into play, and it is being represented in the documents. So it has to be identified, but whether there is any biasness in the document or not, it has to be, the documents that has to be purchased in the libraries, they have to be neutralized documents where there is no partiality of ideas, because idea or the information as such is it is impartial. There is no way one can say one idea or one aspect of the life is more valuable as compared to the other. Everything in the world is basically having its own value, because it has been created by the nature. Then we talk of the how readable is the content. That is again very important when we talk of the readability. It comes into play the way, again the same writing content. It again mentions that how the ideas have been expressed, what is the overall presentation of the ideas, and then formatting also comes into play, where we talk of the formats that has been used, although it is separately in the format section, but here readability is to comprehend by the user how the authors have expressed their ideas. It is simply like a storytelling, dear students. When you hear or you listen a story from a person, it is the style, it is the way the person is telling you the story. So the readability in the sense means, if there are difficult topics or the areas, the experience of the author plays very important role, that makes the complex topic simpler. Then we talk of the arrangement. Dear students, arrangement, as we were earlier discussing, that arrangement of the documents, mostly the reference and information sources, is very important, because they are complex sources. They have disjoint entries. They have comprehensive areas of knowledge. They cover not only one specific area, but different areas. Different topics are there. Universe of knowledge ideas are being imprinted in these documents. Generally, it is being said that there are 4 different or broader categories of arrangements, like chronological order, which is based on the years or time period. Then geographical, which is again a very important arrangement in case of educational sources, based on the countries, continents. Then we have third arrangement, alphabetical order, which is much more prevalent in case of dictionaries. Then classified, in case some subject specific documents or reference sources, classified arrangement, which is based on any scheme of classification. These arrangements are sometimes available in some of the documents. Then the arrangement as an evaluation criteria has to be assessed based on the easiness of locating the information. It has to be easy. There in case of Encyclopedia Britannica, I sometimes tell my students, go and quote some of the reference or definition from Encyclopedia Britannica. They go and they say, sir, it is very difficult to get the information from Encyclopedia Britannica. Although they have tried their best to make the easiness of getting contents for the users, but still because of the comprehensiveness of the source, it becomes difficult. So arrangement, you have to look into the various ways which have been provided by the document to get the information easily and quickly. Index is very important for the arrangement. Index plays very important role so far as to get the user directly to the contents or the text of the document. It is being said, although it varies from source to source, that alphabetical and classified arrangements are much more feasible. Doesn't matter, because depends upon the source. Sometimes some sources are very much arranged in geographical and chronological order, and they are there. They are feasible because in case of, like, for example, when we talk of the educational sources, world of learning, Indian University's handbook, at that time it becomes important to have a geographical arrangement, because geographically then the institutes or the organism will be discussed in those educational sources. Then index and bibliographies along with the cross references, because dear students, cross references, which is a separate topic which can be discussed anytime when you wish, but cross references play a very important role so far as to get the text or the arrangement of the documents. Then another parameter, dear students, is the format. The format as such, in case of reference and information sources, we talk of the physical appearance of the document, because when you evaluate the source, except the digital or online sources, the physical documents, you have the document in one hand, and then you try to assess and give the judgment as what is the physical appearance of the document. First, that it should be attractive by colorful printing, it should have good quality pages, papers, diagrams should be neat and clean, photographs if they are there, it has to be of good quality, binding should be of good quality, then figures, diagrams, all these different kinds of these things are taken into consideration when we discuss the format. The important thing is that the quality of the paper. You might have been there in the market to get the papers. There are different quality of papers. For printing the dissertations or thesis, you need Excel bound page. For simple printing, you have multiple choices in the market of the qualities of the papers, and they are of different price ranges. So why there are differences? Because quality of the paper, it varies. So if a source you are going to purchase for the library, you have to determine the quality of the paper. It can be checked. There are so many methods whereby we can check the quality of the paper. Then page makeup, overall arrangement of the pages that are there in the document. What is the arrangement? What are the length, breadth, margins there, and the page preparation, illustrations, plates that are available in the documents, maps, diagrams. These all have to be taken into account. Even sometimes there is one important thing which is again discussed in the format, that is the ink quality of the ink. With respect time, the quality, the ink goes on degrading and deteriorating. So in order to make sure that the ink should be of good quality, one should also assess the ink as well. Then special features. Every time I am getting feedback from the students whenever we talk of the evaluation, that sir, when everything is being covered in these first 5 parameters, what is there written in the special features? I tell my students, dear students, whatever is missing, you have to write that missing thing in the special features. So in case of these special features, first thing is what is missing in the earlier 5 parameters, that missing element has to be written in the special feature. And then second thing that you have to remember is that in case of the special feature, you have to discuss the speciality. If there are 2 sources which are of the similar nature, say for example there are 2 dictionaries, and you have to assess the special feature. So you have to discuss one with respect to the other. What differentiates one document with the other? What is special in one document, and what is special in other document? That speciality, that virtuality is to be written in a special feature. That is why we talk about the special features and virtues. Attraction by the users. It is again, it has to be assessed because it is contextual. One user may like a document, other may not like, but physically the document should be good. It should be attractive. Uh, that is what I was discussing. Distinguishes the source from others. Then special features, so we can include the supplementary lists. We can talk of the appendices so that the special attribute can be discussed. Then if biographies are available, but those biographies has to be updated. They should be useful for the users so that the new documents which have been published recently, are they included in the bibliography or not. Uh, Thank you, dear students. I have used some of the ideas from various sources. So I want to thank all those authors whom I have used their contents for the preparation of the presentation. Uh, Thank you, dear students. One last message that I want to convey to all of you. I always like feedback, suggestion, and comments from the students because no one is perfect. The life is there to learn so many things. So regarding the particular topic, that is evaluation and other different areas which we are teaching in our class, you people are welcome to give your feedback, suggestions, comments, and there are so many platforms where you can communicate to me. Thank you very much for listening the lecture, and once again I request all of you to subscribe the channel so that the new lectures presentations will be notified and intimated to you, and you will not miss anything which is related to your syllabus. Thank you very much.